Hel- Hello, everyone. I believe that I am live here. I wanted to go live to what just happened. Okay, there we go. I'm not sure if I was live before or not, so in case I wasn't, and Facebook's weird like that, I just wanted to say hello again and introduce this video. I'm doing this to introduce the book Sing a Song of Dread, the place where music and horror meet, to everyone. And this book was just published today. It says actions needed. This thing's telling me to do something, but I'm going to do that. I don't know if this is working or not, but I guess we'll find out. I've not been too happy with the way Facebook does its live events. But in any event, I think we're live. Again, I probably will never do one of these directly through Facebook again. They're always better through StreamYard. But in any event, the book came out today, this morning, and it has the following stories in it. The debut tour, which is my story, starts it off, and that is a story that's been published a few times before. It's about a reporter who goes on tour with a rock band, and really strange things start to happen that are definitely not a good thing for mankind, and it's sort of his report of it. So that's the first story. The second one, I am not going to try to pronounce the weirdly spelled version of it. It's all these weird symbols, but in parentheses, it's called Beats in the Witch House, and it's by R.C. Mulhare, and she's contributed to a lot of my books. This one, this particular story is about a duo who secure a spot in a historic haunted home to do some recordings for a new album. And some rather strange things start happening. Much like my first story, it's actually very Lovecraftian, directly tied to Lovecraft, just as my first story was. Then we have a classic story called Old Nurse's Story by Elizabeth Gaskell, and that was originally published in 1852. Now this story, you'll see it show up a lot of times when people are talking about Christmas horror stories, because it takes place in the winter, but I don't think it specifically mentions Christmas in it. But it is a sort of a classic ghost story, and it's definitely pretty chilling in the way it works. I followed that up with my story, I Saved the Beatles. Now, that story is what I like to describe as a feel-good vampire story, if you can believe that. And it's about an event that happened the first time the Beatles toured the United States. Or did it? Actually, it's fictional. Or is it? Because, as the narrator says, nobody in the band or outside of a small group of people ever knew that this happened. So it could have happened. But the dates and stuff about the Beatles and where they stayed and everything are all accurate. I researched all that. But again, it's kind of a feel-good story. It's meant to be a lot of fun. And I had a good time writing it, and I really enjoy that story. The next story is The Music of Eric Zahn, which is a classic from H.P. Lovecraft from 1921. It's about a gentleman who takes a room in a rooming house in France, and it's a street that doesn't exist, apparently. It's not on any maps, and he has some really weird encounters with one of the neighbors, and it's all about the gentleman Eric Zahn's music. Blood on the Stage is another one from R.C. Mulhare. Now that one, it's sort of her retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's Masque of the Red Death. This time, you've got a bunch of wealthy people who are off on a cruise to get away from the pandemic that's happening on land, and there's a musician on there who's a Cajun singer, musician, entertainer, and it's sort of all centered around that entertainer. The story's told from her point of view, basically. But it's an interesting updating of Poe's story, really. Then we get Isabel's Song, which is by Del Merritt, and it's sort of a classic ghost story with sort of modern ideas on it, or modern tilt, a modern leaning to it, where a young girl finds some sheet music, handwritten sheet music from the 1700s in a trunk in the house that she and her family live in, and decides to start playing it, and odd things start happening when she does. The final story in the book is my tale called On the Road With, which that story has been published a few times. It's sort of similar to the opening story in that you've got a reporter who's on tour with a band. There's actually some sort of almost biographical things in there, autobiographical things, because the band that's described in the story is called, well, I changed the name of the band, but it actually is based on a band that I was in. One of the characters in this is named Dark Star, which was the character name that I went by. It was my stage name for that band, and it's sort of a fictionalized account of that band, although there's some real life things in it. There's a story about Cheap Trick. We had at one point we had a practice space at this rehearsal area, and Cheap Trick had the space directly above us, and we were there one night when they were up there rehearsing, and got to basically hear a free Cheap Trick concert, which was kind of cool. And there's sort of a telling of that in there. I mean, obviously this story is fictional. The character in here that goes by Dark Star is not me, but it's sort of a fictionalized cartoon of me, let's put it that way. But you know, it's another one where the reporter finds a threat, but it's a completely different threat than the opener. So that is the rundown of this book. I like the idea of combining music and horror because I'm big into both of them. I mean, I love music, I love horror, so it seems like a logical combination to me. You can get this book right now at lulu.com/spotlight/strange sound. You can get it paperback, which is what I've got here, the paperback, and you can get it hardcover. Oh, I should mention the front cover was designed by an artist named Square Frog Art, and I had found the picture on Pixabay, where I go to get a lot of public domain pictures. And since it made up such a big part of the cover, I contacted the artist, and they offered to do the whole front cover for me. And so I jumped at that chance, and I think it's a gorgeous cover. So anyway, as I said, you can get this at lulu.com/spotlight/strange sound. You can also get it at GaryHillAuthor.com. Just go to the Tales of Wonder and Dread pages, and it's on page 3 of the Tales of Wonder and Dread books. But the purchase links will take you right back to Lulu. There is a Goodreads link there where you can read more about the book. And you could also just go to talesofwonderanddread.com, but that literally takes you to the Tales of Wonder and Dread part of GaryHillAuthor.com. So that's it. Thanks for your time, and I hope this video worked well despite Facebook. Again, thanks. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.